What are you wearing that witch's hat for, Jenkins? Oh no, it's not Halloween again. Quick, turn the lights out. Right, quiet Jenkins, otherwise I'll have the little buggers knocking. Shh, shh, quiet. Now go away. Oh, for God's sake. If it's teenagers that have made no effort, they can... Oh, hello. Oh, come in. Who are you? Oh, it's Sheriff McClaw. Here, Jenkins, give him one of your biscuits. Billy. Mrs. Tweed, get your glad rags on, love. I'm going to take you out for lunch. Hello and welcome to Tweed's Garage. Now, sorry if you've seen it before, but the little Billy intro there. But as you may have gathered, yeah, we had to say goodbye to the little fella a couple of weeks ago. And yeah, sad day all round. Do miss him. He's always around the workshop most of the time, although you didn't see him up until a few years ago. Once he was getting a bit older and his legs were not so good. But yeah, he always used to sleep up here on a blanket somewhere. Yeah, and he's also done some fine intros. He was a fine, upstanding member of the cast of Tweed's Garage. So yeah, enjoy the intro, or you've enjoyed the intro at the beginning, and then there's sort of a couple of bits at the end, and then his sort of finest scene stealing outtakes right at the very end. So yeah, enjoy those. Anyway, moving on. What have we been doing? Well, we're on the Scott. I know, we just ping pong around like a ping pongy thing. Yes, so working back on the Scott, which will please quite a lot of you. I mean, I'm looking forward to getting it running, but before we get it running, need to get it rolling. So back end is done. If you're new to the channel, there'll be a playlist link in the bottom so you can go and catch up to where we are. So then I had to turn to the front end. Yeah, interesting, the front end on the Scott, or the latest Scotts. Bit of a story with this. They used them on Panther, Scott, and I think AJS used them, or used the manufacturer for their shocks on the rear. And what they were made by Douty. Those of an older generation will recognise the name. Douty were famous round the world for making oleo legs, or undercarriage legs for aircraft. And the way they worked, and the system they work on the Scott and the Panther, is there's no springs in them. They all work on oil for damping and air for the springing. So my Scott 1937 would have originally left the factory with two types of forks. One was Webb's girder forks. Can't remember the name of the other one, and it means wandering down the house to read a book and let you know. I'll put a little thing up there. Yes, those. And then after the war, post-war, pre-war, post-war, they fitted Douty forks to most of the Scotts, unless you still wanted the older style forks on. So what I gathered with Scotts is they were quite custom built. They were quite expensive, so they were sort of, you know, you could sort of ask, you know, what you wanted as the bike was being built. So I don't think any two Scotts are the same. They're all sort of slightly different. So yes, but when this was 1937, these weren't around, so they're only around after the war. But Scott actually offered it as an upgrade, so you could buy the whole kit and sort of upgrade your girder forks to Douty oleomatic forks, which mine has on. So a couple of problems with them. They're going down, so that means the seals need looking at, and also they're leaking oil, which means seals need looking at. So we need to get them off the bike, strip them down and check over them, see what bits we need. So what we'll do, go into the Chapiterium where it is, and we'll start getting the forks off this way. So things kind of escalated and got out of control. I was going to share the experience with you of getting the forks disassembled on the Scott, but as you can see they are no longer on the Scott, they're in the workshop, so we'll have a look at those in a bit. But reason for taking them all the way off, well, one, because I had to, because we had problems, and two, the other reason was I wasn't happy with the fit. The headstock, or the lower clamp, or the lower part of the tree, whatever you want to call them, down here, has a couple of bump stops on it, and when you move them round, as you can see if we'll adjust to the light, there's the bump stop here, they're just catching underneath and just the bottom edge of that bump stop there. So, and there was a bit of a gap here. The forks in the clamps were coming up through the lower clamp too high. You could tell by the brass shim was above rather than in line with it. So I wanted to sort it out, what was going on here, whether the bearing races have been replaced and they're thicker than original, or this one isn't driven in all the way home. Unfortunately it looks like it is, but I'll tap it out and check for any obstructions stopping it from going all the way in. But I want to try and sort this out so that the bump stops, you know, hit here rather than down here, and there's less chance of denting the tank each side with the fork tubes. So that's what it looks like in here, and this is what it looks like in the workshop. So we've got the fork assembly here, all complete, well, apart from the clamp bolts that I made earlier. But yeah, you can see here, see this, one of these now falls through, but this is how they were. This brass shim was too high on this lower clamp, which was meaning that this clamp wasn't, you know, wasn't going up as far as it should, or there's too much distance between here and here. So I need to sort of close that down a bit and hopefully move the position of these stops up a bit. Not sure what's causing it or how we're going to do it. This is the lower bearing ring here. You know, I don't know whether they're being replaced. Maybe they're a little bit thicker. You know, a couple of mil on each one might be enough to cause an issue. I don't think there's any adjustment on the bottom. These do seem to be, well, the top one seems to be solid brass. I think this is actually brass. Seems a shame to paint it, doesn't it? Anyway, what we were trying to do, what you should be able to do, is undo these clamp bolts, pop a wedge in here, in the slots here, give it a little tap to open it up, and then you should be, this is all that holds these tubes, this clamping down here. They just fit snugly against these fork top seal holders here. There's one of the seals there, you can see it. Yeah, so you should be able to undo that, spread the clamp open a bit, grab the fork, give it a sort of twist and wiggle it out. Yeah, didn't happen, wasn't happening at all. So got speaking to a guy, very helpful. Now he actually manufactures, or has had manufactured, modern seals for these forks. Although I have a set of seals, you know, if somebody's gone and improved them and you got them apart, might be worth improving them. He also makes a new set of fork tubes as well. Well, he doesn't make, he's had manufactured some very finely machined fork tubes to go in, which I may have a look at as well, because I need to check the condition of these inside, because if they're worn or got scratches in them, the chap won't sell me the fork seals for them because it's a sort of pointless exercise. So what I then tried to do, he suggested what you do is, normally the tubes weren't stuck. It's not normally stuck here, it tends to be stuck here on this seal body. So what you need to do is undo the clamp nut here, put your wedge in, and then loosen this nut so you get a gap of about 1 to 2 millimeters between the nut and the top of the headstock. And then what you do is tap it down, you know, with a dead blow hammer, something like that, so it seats back on the headstock, and it should move this seal body down. And if it has seized on the fork tube, it will move the fork tube down as well through the bottom clamp. Then what you do, tighten up this clamp so this is fixed. You then do this nut back up again so it draws this body up and hopefully out of the tube by that sort of millimetre, 2 millimetres, and then you go through the process again. You then undo this nut for a 1 to 2 millimetre gap, undo this nut, put your wedge in, tap it back down again, and basically you walk this tube down until it comes off the bottom or moves enough on here so you can actually move it off of this seal, and then the fork tube should slide down. Didn't work for me. I was doing that, it would move it down, but then as soon as I clamped it, pulled it back up, it all just sort of moved back into its home position. So it was seized down here. So what I decided to do then was, see, now you have to be careful here, I will show you later, but there is a copper tube that joins these two together so that when you put air in here, because these are air shocks, once you put air in here, it goes into here and also transfers and charges this one up as well. So you've got to be very careful not to twist them, or that's why you only move them 1 millimetre to 2 millimetres at most, so you don't flex the copper tube too much. What I decided to do, as the forks have got to come off anyway, undone the fork nut at the back, so this was loose, and then undone this nut and this nut, same sort of process, you know, with a gap of a couple of millimetres, tap this one down, tap that one down, these move down a bit, and then undo it again, and keep going till you push these out evenly all the way out, and you can get the top off and get the forks out. And here they are. Now, unfortunately, they're not on the bench because they're still full of oil, as I found out as I was trying to get the lowers out down here, because these are trapped in there, only to discover after ringing the chap again that they're actually screwed in. So I need to make a tool, so that's what we'll be doing next. But once I've got them out, got these fork legs out of here, they've found that this one is now loose and will quite happily move in and out of the fork tube. There's a very slight misalignment. It's not a lot. You can sort of, as you put in this, drawing it all together, you can just, you know, put a light bit of force on the forks and it'll all line up, go back together. But I think where it was all tightened up, and yeah, there might be, you know, there could be a twist in here. You know, who knows? We're dealing with old stuff, so something could have happened at some time. But I think because there was a slight twist, it was locking these in even when I sort of opened these gaps up here, so the tubes wouldn't come out. So what I need to do is I've got to get these bodies out of here, but I need to undo the seal holder further down. So we need to make a tool that will go, you know, I can't pick it up at the moment to show you. Once I've got the tripod on, I'll show you. These turn into a rod that goes down here, goes through the seal holder, and it's got a sort of bump stop and a nut on the lower end to stop them coming up through the seal holder. Let me see if I can find the diagram. Here you go. It's getting a bit greasy, but this is this top seal holder and air inlet, and it sort of turns into a tube. Tube goes down through there, got a bump stop at the bottom and a nut that holds it all. And then what we need to get out is this assembly here that goes into the lower tube. And there's a couple of seals there, but it is screwed in here, screwed in here and here. There's a sort of spacer that sits there, so I need to get a tool that will go down here, round this tube, into 2 slots, and hopefully get them undone. So let's get that sorted. So here's the tool I've made to take the fork internals apart, because we need to get down inside and we need to get round the tube that runs down the middle from the top. So it's a piece of inch diameter tubing, bit that I'd line around, turned down a bit of stock. I had an inch sort of bit of steel stock bar, turned that down so it was a push fit in the end of the tube, pushed it in, and then welded it on, stuck it in the lathe, just cleaned it up a bit, and then drilled the end to slightly bigger than the diameter of the tube in the forks to give us a bit of clearance. And then on the other end, a piece of sort of inch bar rectangular stock that I had, just welded that on the other end. Then milled my sort of slotted screwdriver affair. I don't know what you call these. Yeah, half a screwdriver. Yeah, milled those on the end. Milled them to size and to depth. And then with an end mill, ran it through and cut the slot to give me clearance around the tube. So let's see if it works. So you rejoin me in the salubrious surroundings of the workshop floor. Yeah, cause like I said, these are full of oil, as you can see, and I need to tip them out, but it's like trying to handle a gangly spider, trying to tip these upside down with this fork tube loose and this one fixed. So made the tool. Let's see if it fits. So it needs to slide around there and then drop down. And then there should be some slots which it goes in. Let's see if we can unscrew it. Oh, there we go. Well, something's coming undone anyway. It's got rubber seals on it as well, so it might be undone. Oh yeah, it's coming now. A lot of goop with it. Well, that worked. Clean up an aisle 5. I don't want to get any muck down them, so we'll just have to take it like a man. There we go. Woohoo! One down. Spacer made from old Paxlin. Seal there, seal there. That's the Paxlin. It's in 2 halves, see, like that. Goes round like that. And then actually bump stop and the nut that holds it all together. Right, let's put it somewhere safe. There we go, that's in. Oh, yep, undone. They shouldn't be super tight because they're only a housing for the seals. So you should just sort of do them up and then give them a little nip, and that should be job done. So what we got on there? Out 8 or 9 threads. So I just keep turning for a bit. Give it a little knock. Yep, up she comes. There she blows. Da, 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 da. Yeah, all there. So there should be, I think it's a set of 12 seals, 6 each side. So you've got 1, 2, 3. I don't think the bump stops count as one. So yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4. I think there's another one, 5 up here. There must be one in the lower workings down there. Right, there we go. So the tool works a treat. We've got the forks all stripped down. So these are what I suppose you'd call the stanchions. They look not too bad. Bit of light marking on them where they've been running up and down through the, there's a sort of brass bush at the end of the fork tubes that they run up and down there. And I don't think they're lubricated by oil. They might get a little splash occasionally that gets past the seals, well it shouldn't do really, but there might be a bit of weepage. But you've got a grease nipple on here for pumping grease in. This and this, these shrouds are normally, yeah, because the grease nipples on, they're normally over there like that, and it pumps grease in this bush here, around this bush, around the fork leg. And then there's a seal, this 2-part seal that sits in the, like a scraper seal that sits in the top of the fork shrouds. Keeps the grease in. Well, I don't think it does keep the grease in. There's a little hole at the back there that we'll have to make sure we clear when we paint it, for sort of excess grease to escape past the seal. It's got a few holes in it around this ridge here. See there? Hole there, and then a sort of ridge all the way there. Right, so that's that seal. We were trying to find all the seals, count them out earlier. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Well, actually 6, because this scraper band I don't think comes in the standard kit of seals you can get from the some of the suppliers, and it's sort of more of a, it is a rubber, but it's more sort of, you know, plasticky type rubber. Anyway, so that's all the seals, they're all out, and like I say, the only damage is this broken copper tube that goes between the two to share the air between the two, so you only have one charging point this side, and the air goes across and fills both fork legs up, and of course balances them as well. Yeah, I've put some heat on this. No, I didn't. I put some heat on this bit because it's got the valve in. Put some heat on this with the old Oxyweld kit that I've got. Heated it up as much as I dare, but this is brazed here, and then further down this tube, I mean that looks like silver solder on there, which is a lower melting point. So yeah, I gave up in the end. I sort of decided there must be a better solution to this, because the trouble is it means that these two, and you know, they're quite a weighty sort of assembly, when you take them apart, the only thing connecting them is this bit of copper tube, so it's bound to get broken in the end. So I'm trying to come up with a solution of some fittings that will go in here. Because they're hidden, it won't matter, they're hidden. The copper tube lives in here, in the top of the headstock, so you can't see it unless you were sort of Derek the fin counter laying on the ground looking up. You wouldn't know. So I think personally you could get away with modern high pressure nylon tubing with you know, a fitting screwed into each of the fork tops, so that you can assemble it, and then you can just have enough flexibility with that nylon tube just to push that in afterwards and connect it up. And the nice thing about that is you can push the fittings down and take the pipe back out again, so you can strip it back down, so it makes it sort of disassemblable, which is a good thing. Well, it's not a good thing because hopefully I'm not going to take them apart that often, but it just, you know, whoever comes to work on it next makes life a bit easier. The only trouble is the smallest fitting you can get is an 1/8 British Standard pipe thread, and that's quite big. Yeah, the tapping drill, it must equate to something to do with the internal diameter of the pipe or something, because that is yeah, that's not 1/8 of an inch. Yeah, it's nearly 10 millimeters. And to drill a 10 millimeter hole in here, you know, it doesn't leave you a lot of meat. And yeah, it's got it can only go from there to there, and it can't interfere in this hole here because you have these that thread down into there like that. So it needs a smaller thread. But what I was thinking of getting, yeah, maybe an 1/8 fitting like that, turning this down, and then, you know, around 7 millimeters, finding a fine thread that would go on there, sort of maybe a BA or something like that. I'll have to have a rummage through. Model engineering ones I've got, they're a very fine pitch. Yeah, and once you put a bit of Loctite on, screwed it in, and if you use a taper tap, don't run it all the way through, it will work like tapered BSPF fittings. You know, you wind it in until it stops, and that should seal it up. So that's the plan on that. Anyway, so yeah, so these are the tubes. These are screwed in there like that. So that's the top of there, and this all sits inside here. So these seals keep the oil and the air from escaping down this tube here. See, they're very thin, about 2.4 millimeters thick. Yeah, but they're not, because one, it was leaking oil when I moved it around, and two, I could pump them up, but they went down quite quickly, and they should hold air, you know, for quite a while. You know, shouldn't really lose air that much, but once they get scratched, not on here, in here. Can you see if I can get you on the lens? There you go. They're quite sort of polished finish in there. There you go. Yeah, you can see like that. Anyway, so they didn't look too bad initially, but what I'd done was made a little, because there was a bit of a ridge where these sliders come down. They only come down so far and stop, and there's a little ridge, and then, you know, a bit mucky further down where the oil had been sitting. So I made this polishing rod up, which is just a bit of M10 threaded bar, a couple of M10 nuts, locked at the back there, and then a Nylox nut on the outside. And then I turned up 2 stepped washers, so they're stepped for the internal diameter of this, you know, so it's a nice tight fit around the threaded bar. These, I've had these for years, and they've actually come in handy. I've had these, ooh, 16, 17 years. Anyway, what they are, they're felt washers. They were for sort of, I can't remember, like thermal label printers or something, very big label printers. And they were, what you do, these were soaked in oil and sandwiched between aluminium discs with an adjustable spring, and they work like a slip clutch. So that's what they were. Anyway, so what I've done was put 3 or 4 on there, bolt them sort of tight so they wouldn't move around, and then put it in the lathe and run the angle grinder with one of these sanding discs on, just to bring the diameter down to a nice sort of snug fit inside the tube like that. And then stuck it on the drill and plenty of brasso, and yeah, moved that all up and down and cleaned them up quite nicely. So I thought we might be onto a winner. I thought they might be all right, but I discovered that this one, I don't know whether I can get it on camera. I've got it on a photograph arrowed, I'll show you. About down here, it's inside, there's some sort of gouging where the where I think the aluminium here, when it's on this cylinder, it's screwed into this cylinder, the top of this cylinder has been rubbing against the side. Obviously the seals have compressed enough to allow this to sort of make contact with the sides down the bottom. So you can't really have that, because any sort of scratches in these and then the air is going to escape, and yeah, you've got no suspension. So first thing I did was sort of clock these up, and I discovered that this one, so I put them on V-blocks on the ends, and then found a place where there was sort of fairly even paint, and put the clock gauge on, run it round, and then found my high and low spot, and this was the high spot. This was 0.26 here, and then this one was even worse. This was 1.05 millimeters here, and this is sort of the back of the fork there. So that's sort of, yeah, that's the back like that. So this is the front. So they're sort of bent, I don't know how, but they're sort of bent that way. Whether it's the sort of constant hammering, that they're at quite a sort of steep angle for forks, and they're very thin. Like I said, they're only 2.4 millimeters, so you've got that weight going down, and it's sort of bending, you know. Yeah, so it's sort of at an angle like this. I mean, you know, these forces will force the slider up, but you know, you are getting this bending force as well on the forks like that, and that's what they've done. They've bent there and there. Not uncommon. They use these on Panthers as well, and they're even heavier. So not an uncommon problem to find that the tubes are bent. Funnily enough, the one that's gouged was this one, not the one that was bent even more. So yeah, you just can't odds it, can you? So what we're going to do? Well, as I said, talking to a chap who's done a lot of research into this, and he gets a firm. He's done all the drawings and everything. He gets a firm to turn up new tubes and new bushings at the end. Now I think his differ. I think these are a push fit on his ones, whereas these ones are silver soldered on. So yeah, you never get a chance to get these out. And then you have this packing band here. It looks a bit of a bodge, but this is how they've done. This packing band is brass soldered on, and then that brings it up to the diameter on the clamps. I don't know why, if it allows for a bit of flex or a bit of movement, you know, if the fork clamps aren't quite aligned. Not quite sure. Anyway, so the way he's changed his design is the fork tubes are now this diameter plus this. So they're this side, you know, that and that. So they're, you know, another third thicker than the originals. The only thing he gets done to them is he does take this diameter down just a touch below the clamps, so that, you know, these slide up in nice and tight, and then, yeah, a little bit narrower down the bottom. So, and they're all highly polished, all polish finish internally, and yeah, just need painting on the outside, ready to go in. I've spoken to another chap, put me in touch with another chap who's fitted them to his Scott. He's really pleased with them, and he also has had new seals made, but brought them up to date to modern sort of seal technology. So they're cut seals rather than moulded. And then this is sort of Paxlin, this sort of packer here in two halves. He has them made out of sort of PTFE kind of material. That's those. And then also, I think in the same material or a similar material, the scraper band that goes in the shroud down the bottom as well is made of I think a similar material, because it's white rather than black like this one. So that is the plan. Order has been placed. He's got to sort of make them. So yeah, we will await to see those, and then we can build these back up. So one job I will do is have a look at this top clamp. We've got an issue with that. Okay, you join me at the milling machine. Got the headstock for the Scott all clamped up on 1, 2, 3 blocks. Was it 3, 2, 1? Look at what you could have won. Oh no, it was Dusty Bin, wasn't it? 3, 2, 1. Yeah, sounds better, 3, 2, 1 blocks. Anyway, the issue we've got here is there's two holes, threaded holes here for bolting on the speedometer bracket. There's a bracket here that holds the speedometer up there. Now, this one's okay, but this one, they've obviously had a problem. Somebody's been in with a drill here and then coming across, and they've gone over, slipped down the other side there. There's a bit of a divot in the thread the other side. So and also I don't know what's in it. It's sort of really, I don't know, goopy, or somebody's tried to braise something, or something really hard in there, probably more like araldite or something. Anyway, luckily for me, it was obviously a problem before, and somebody has repaired this side, and this is a 5/16 BSF thread this side, and I suspect, because it doesn't fit in the other side, that this side is a 1/4. So we've got a bit of leeway to tidy this up and bring it up to this standard here. Don't want to drill it because it will wander off, so I've got a 6.4 or 6.5 end mill that I'm going to use to bring down and then clean up the hole, and then we'll run the tapping drill down, which is a 6.8mm drill, and then drop a tap down there and clean it all up, and then hopefully we'll only just sort of lose a little bit of thread on this side here. Yeah, and that'll be under the bracket if I ever fit a speedo, so you won't notice. So let's get cracking with this. Okay. Sort of go. I'm wondering whether there's a thread cert in there actually. So we'll try and line it up with a hole. Let's see how we go. Right, that's cleaned up okay. So now we'll step up to a 6.8mm tapping drill. Ooh. The thread has appeared. Yeah, let's get this on the bench and have a look at it. I've got some thread there, not so much there. I'll clean it up with a tap and see what we've got. There was obviously something in there, bit of steel. So looking at it again, I mean you won't see, but there's some thread, steel thread stuck in the brass thread over here. I'm going to see if I can pick it out. Need a pick tool. See what we've got. Yeah, sort of. It's right further down. Just hook that. Oh, there's a bit there. Look. Let's see. There's a bit. There's a bit. Try and bounce it round without breaking it. There we go, there's a bit. And we're looking a bit further down. Next thread in. It's moving. It's amazing, there's a little of it left, but it doesn't want to give in. Let's move it backwards and forwards. Then I might have to grab it towards the light so you won't see what's going on. Yeah, well there's one bit there. I'll come back to you, I'll have a little poke around. Oh, brought you back. As soon as you went away, started moving. I think we can wind this all the way out. Look at that, there we go. Another bit. I think we might have, I think we've got it. So it was a 5/16 thread. We've managed to save it, we haven't hit it with a milling cutter or the drill. There we go, tap's going in. Make sure there's probably other bits of rubbish down the bottom there, so. Yeah, there's a few bits of steel coming out. Causing the tap to catch. There we go. Give that a blow out. There you go, more shards of steel picking out the thread. There we go. Managed to save the thread. Keep it in focus. Yeah, you can see there's a bit of catch there where they've gone in with the drill. But just sort of the other side there where the drill's gone in the other side, but tap goes in there quite nicely, and we've tapped a bit further down, so yeah, I think we saved that. Job's a good one. So there you go. That's what the inside of Douty oleomatic forks look like. Good progress made, all stripped down, not too much heartache. Repaired that thread on the top of the headstock quite nicely. Yeah, broke the tube. I don't think I broke it completely. I think it was already fractured and I just finished it off. I'm going to go down the road of looking at those pneumatic or air fittings. They have a working pressure of 0 to 10 bar, which is it's more than enough. I think you only put a few pounds, you know, PSI in them to get the forks to function quite happily. So, you know, that won't be a challenge for those fittings. So I'll get in touch with a couple of the companies and order some different fittings, and, you know, have a bit of measuring and seeing which one's got enough meat on to turn it down to sort of roughly sort of 7mm and a thread around there, nice fine thread to go in. They can be drilled and tapped on the fork tops and set in either with Loctite or something to make sure they're 100% airtight. Yeah, and then a bit of plastic hosing, like I said, in between. Nobody's going to see it apart from Malcolm, the fin counter. He'll see it. And then I've just got to wait for the fork tubes to be put together and sent out along with the seals, and we can start assembling this all to get it back on the front end of the Scott. And once that's done, because the wheels are done, brakes have been done, yeah, it'll be rolling. So we can roll it around and roll it into the garden, start looking at the engine and seeing if we can get it started, see what it sounds like. Looking forward to that. So there you go. If you liked it, give us a little like and hit subscribe as well, because yeah, and then you'll get reminders of when new videos come up, and it's always good to have subscribers. Love you all. You know, all me regulars that tune in and all your new ones, hello to you. Yeah, so yeah, that's it from me. I'll see you later. Now, it's not the usual outtakes at the end. It's just a couple of bit more of Billy intros, and then his classic sort of interruption outro. So enjoy, and I'll see you next time. Cheerio. Jenkins, put the bacon on, we'll be back for breakfast. Good man. Come on, Ginger. Right, ready, Billy. Magneto's on. Contact. Contact. Contact.
Oh, flashbang, what a picture. What a picture, what a photograph.
Contact. There we go, Billy. Chops away. Ted. Ted. Shut up. Still rolling? Yeah. Bloody dog. Right. Ted!
Billy, come here. Come here.
Oh dear. Huh? Okay. Ted! Ted! Come on, we got 10 minutes before it's Mexican night. Stop that one there, stop. Billy. Ready? Yeah, it's alright. Ted!
Wait.